All right, everybody. So, what we are doing today, we have got the awesome Mary Haynes with us. I wanted to record a cool video with her because Mary has a stellar team. She was recently promoted to executive director. So, Mary, congrats to you on that. That's so
Thank you.
And so, what I would like Mary to chat with us about today, and also let me just side note, Mary is virtual. She's a virtual consultant, and her team is primarily virtual as well. So, what I would love for her to chat with us about today is some of the steps that they took to kind of help encourage that first gen to develop into leaders and what they had to do, what happened, maybe some tips that she can give us. So, there we go. What do you think, Mary?
Yeah. Okay, so here we go. I'm just going to walk through kind of what I feel like worked for us and what we did. First of all, if you're an upper level director at all, assistant director, advanced director. I do know the levels, by the way. Advanced director and above, you really need to hire an assistant. There are so many things that we do that just aren't necessary for us to touch them.
Okay.
And so that was one of the first things that Julie Aldridge told me when I told her that I felt like I was kind of losing control a little bit. She said, hire an assistant. And I was like, okay, done. And her suggestion was actually pretty valuable. She said, hire someone that's on your team. And I thought, well, that's curious. So find someone on your team that loves the business. Maybe that they're just kind of a steady Eddie, that they're never going to be a top performer because that's not their goal, but they love the business, they understand the business, and hire them to do stuff. So I actually have a team member. She's part of my first gen now. She was part of my personal team, and she's fabulous. She understands Pamper Chef. She understands virtual parties. So she does a lot of stuff for me that I don't have to touch. I don't have to put together a host packet for it to look professional. I don't have to count tickets on Facebook parties. So she does a lot of that stuff for me.
Wow.
So anything that doesn't require my personal touch, she does. And so when I first started doing that, my husband kind of asked me, okay, well, what's your tolerance level for spending? And so kind of figure out, how many hours a week you want somebody, to take over, and then do it. It was the best decision I ever made, honestly. It's huge, just a huge time saver. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because then you can use that time to coach, to train, to do all those things that we need to do to grow a team, really. Yeah. So and even, at a director level, if you're growing consistently and you're growing quickly, I would probably go for it. Some people don't have to have every penny that comes out of their paycheck. So I would just use that to reinvest in your business, honestly. Even if you can just claim back 2 to 3 hours a week, that's huge. That's huge. Okay. So second thing is culture. Figure out what your culture is. We just kind of figure out what it is and what you want it to be. You lead by example. So if you want a strong selling culture, you have to be a strong seller. If you want a strong recruiting culture, you have to be a strong recruiter. I firmly believe, and I've seen it happen with all of my director teams, that the pace of the leader sets the pace of the pack. So I consistently outsell and out-recruit every member in my organization. I've only been beaten twice. So I think that's huge because, they can see that you can do it. So they will likely duplicate the efforts. If you've got a weak leader, you're not going to have a strong team. Lead by example. And then really the stuff that we've learned in lead, if, anybody listens to this later, if you've been, that is, I can't stress that enough. Submitting 8 shows and recruiting 2 people a month. When I did that, and it scared me to death when I first did it, it was August of 2016 is when I started lead the first time. And then I've done it. It's been 3 rounds altogether. It's really much been a year and a half. I was maybe recruiting 1 person a month, maybe. And so the 8 shows didn't bother me. I consistently did 8 shows, but it was the 2 recruits that really kind of freaked me out about the whole lead requirement. And so, but I did it. I found the 2 recruits. It was just working with intention. And so that's when we really started seeing explosive numbers, because when you're personally adding 2, it starts to be exponential. So that's really when I started seeing it personally. That's when I saw some of the shift. So I tell everybody 8 and 2 is I tell my directors that 8 and 2 is the secret. That's just the secret formula. And when you're constantly filling your personal team, you're going to find your leaders. You're going to find your directors. My personal team is still really big, even though we promoted 3 of them, 3 directors out of it 2 months ago. So yeah, so 8 and 2. Let's see, I'm looking at that. Oh, another thing that we did when we're talking about culture, is we heavily focus on team goals. So I asked my team January? So I asked my team in July. At that point, we still did organization-wide meetings. And so I asked my team, I said, okay, what do you guys want our recruiting goal to be for the second half of the year? And so we're on there and we're throwing numbers back and forth. And I knew where I wanted it. But they set the goal of 60 is what they said. They said we want 60 new team members. We ended up doing, I personally wanted between 70 and 75. I think we ended up doing close to 75. But I kept the goal in front of them and they decided on the goal. So it wasn't me saying this is our goal. It was, what do you guys want it to be? And so I just kept it in front of them. Anytime I would post, I do like a weekly wow email to the whole organization. I'd say, okay, we've got, 42 out of 60, we're going to make it, or, stuff like that. I would just kind of give them updates every now and then on that. So that was good. And I know a lot of people do like the freezer paper rolls, or they'll do, if you have more local meetings, a lot of our meetings are on Zoom because we're all virtual, or not all of us. We're not completely virtual, but we're pretty close. So you could do a virtual board. You could do, the share love boards. I know Sharon Zellen has shared those pictures of those boards. You can come up with whatever you want, but just something that gives them a visual on, how many you're adding. Mm-hmm. Let's see. And then I think the other big thing that we did is, we learned in lead, I think it was lead plus, or maybe it was lead. I don't remember. It all starts to run together after a while, but there were 3 goals. There are 3 goals of an organization or a team. And the first one was monthly activity. And so everything I do, well, actually I'll give you the 3. It's monthly activity, fast-paced recruiting, and then career plan advancement. So everything that I offer, I make sure that it fits into one of those 3 categories. If it doesn't promote one of those 3 things, I'm not going to offer it. I'm not going to do it. It's just, it doesn't meet our goal. And so one thing we started doing, you always want to start with number 1, which is monthly activity. And so we started doing Green by the 15th. I know a lot of people do that. We heavily promote Green by the 15th. I send out the little postcards. I started doing a drawing. I would just randomly pick a card before I mailed it, and I threw in like a $5 Starbucks card. It's $5. And then I started challenging them, saying, well, last month we had 22 people that were green by the 15th. I'm making up numbers. If we beat that, I'll throw in that many more, Starbucks cards or whatever. And so, they started beating it by like 10 and 12, which was kind of freaky. So I was having to like throw in all the Starbucks cards. So the Green by the 15th, and then some people do levels. We've done this with the free for all. Sorry, we're driving, so make it bouncy. The levels for the free for all. So what I did is I just made an image, and you can do it in Canva. I use PicMonkey. You can do it with whatever. But there's green, and then bronze, silver, and gold based on the tiers of the free for all. And so that just promoted monthly activity, because sometimes, December and January can be hard because you got a crazy month in December, and then in January, people are like, the people in the Northeast are snowed in. So, it's sometimes takes people a while to kind of get their stuff back together. So that really helped with December, and then I'm promoting it heavily in January. So what I did there, I just did a drawing, again, nothing major, but just a drawing that, just encouraged them to get that level by the 15th. They didn't get a prize for doing it by the end of the month, but by the 15th, so they were active earlier in the month. Yeah. And you can come up with all sorts of things for monthly activity. Booking blitzes, we've done those. We do those, I would say probably about every other month. I hate booking blitzes, I'll be honest with you, because I feel like it should be something they do anyway, but they don't. So it's something that we as a director's team have realized we just have to do this every 2 months, because that's when the people are going to sit down and they're going to make the phone calls and they're going to, green dot, and they're going to do all those things because we've made it fun. So we've done toss the turkey. We've done, we're doing a snowball fight starting next week. So they book something and they tag someone else on the organization page with a snowball. Anything to make it fun, but it gets them monthly activity. Okay. And then I did drawings. I stole this from somebody, I don't remember who it was, on one of the groups, where every 10 shows I did a drawing for something small. It was, nothing big, but it was fun. And then the recruiting, make sure there are systems in place to support the recruiting. We just started again doing new consultant training. We had not been doing new consultant training. We'd only been doing the binder system from the Coaching New Consultants thing. We've been doing that, but I felt like some of our directors were not strong coachers. They're just not strong trainers. And so I kind of talked to Judy Joel about it, and I said, okay, what do you think about this? And she said, I think it's great. So we're going to start doing it twice a month and encourage everyone, that's new to hop in on the new consultant training. And at that point, I'm really just reiterating, your director is awesome. Stay in touch with your director and just kind of go over those basics.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of, setting goals and booking, what's that?
Are you doing the new consultant training via Zoom?
Yeah, we do most of our stuff we do via Zoom. Good. Yep, just via Zoom or whatever, system you're already using. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And then you can post the recording, which is nice. So new consultant training. We also have an opportunity group, which is something that I stole this from somebody in Lead Plus, I think. And we've just been doing this for like 3 months now, and it's been pretty effective. So I always tell my team, don't use the group as a crutch or like a place to dump potential recruits, but it's the place where if you just can't get them over the finish line, if they're just like, no, not right now, you just can't get it, then that's a place where we can put them, and we can post, about the specials and just really just keep them in the funnel, really. Right. And then what we do is we go live on that page twice a month, and we do a closer look. So when people want to attend a closer look, opportunity event, we just do it within that group. The Facebook Live video stays there and done. So we don't, they can see it whenever. And I didn't do Zoom.
I hope I didn't lose you.
This was one of my directors was like, we should do Zoom. But to ask someone that's not even our team to learn how to use Zoom and download the app and do all these things, I just didn't feel like I didn't want to put another roadblock in the way of them getting the information. Right. So Facebook Live, they can comment. Right. Yeah, exactly. So don't make it more complicated than it needs to be. Facebook Live, they're already on Facebook. They've seen Facebook Live videos. They can comment. I can answer immediately. It just made more sense, and it's working. So, until it stops working, then we'll change it.
Absolutely.
And, let's see. Oh, and then the career plan advancement. So we're doing Director Bound. And this is one thing Julie Ritter said when I did a workshop with her at conference. She said, do Director Bound, call it Director Bound, do not change it, just do it. So I was real timid last year about, I would just call it like 6 weeks of success, or I would kind of dumb it down a little bit. Yeah. And not dumb it down, but just, Director Bound light, you know what I'm talking about. And so I was like, you know what, my advanced director was sitting with me in the workshop, and we looked at each other and we're like, oh my gosh, that's totally what we're doing. We're not making it Director Bound. Exactly. And so so if they want directorship, we want them plugged into Director Bound. And so we started calling it Director Bound, and, we're doing that. I don't know. I don't promise that I'm going to ever do it again. I just do it. And then, we'll do it when we see we need it again. So, I mean, 3 times a year is probably good, but that's kind of what we've been doing. Yeah. And then the other thing is with my my directors, my semi-directors who aren't advanced directors yet, they are actually doing a 6 weeks of success simultaneously. So I'm doing director bound and they're doing 6 weeks of success. So we're encouraging everyone to plug in somewhere. Doesn't matter where, just somewhere. Pick one. Because the 6 weeks of success is great, the one that Jennifer Courtney put together. It's a lot of information. It focuses on the basics. It's good. It's not director bound though. So really just getting them to pick where they want to fit in.
Right.
And let's see, okay, and the last thing, the last thing I would say is don't be afraid to offer incentives. I am very big on, I'm not a huge, well, I might be a big risk taker compared to others, but I'm willing to invest my income to get the result that I want. So, for example, when we were pushing for exec, we started talking about exec last summer and just couldn't get it all together. And then I was talking to Judy and she's like, you should, try to do it before, let's get it done in 2017. I'm like, all right, let's, try it. And so what I did, I think it was in October, we had that half price rebate thing.
Yeah.
So for everyone on my personal team, when they recruited someone, that new recruit, if they qualified in their first 30 days, I gave them half the kit back. So basically they got to start for free. They got the rebate. Yeah. So I was willing to risk it, but it got one of my girls to fast track and the other one, it got her promoted. So just be willing to risk it. They had to put forth the effort, but I make so much in those activity overrides that, I've got to be willing to throw that somewhere.
Absolutely.
And so that's what I did. And so it was really funny to watch my team because they were like, oh, I'm taking all your money. I'm going to do it. And I'm like, okay. And I think I only did I don't think I limited it. I think I did the big, all the way up to the big kit. I can't remember. But if it's too much, you could just say half of the small kit. Whatever, it's $50.
Right.
But it got them qualified. And when somebody qualifies in their first 30 days, that's good momentum for them. It gives them confidence. And it got the result that I wanted, which was getting 3 directors on my team.
I'm loving that
because we needed 3.
Okay, that's how did you already have these people in the works, like they already knew they wanted to go for leadership, or how did that all come about?
Most of them, yes, they did know that they wanted to be directors. Okay. The problem, I think, a lot of times, when we sell I don't think we sell directorship. I don't think we sell the benefits of directorship. So one thing and you'll notice when you start promoting directors, it becomes contagious. We promoted 3 directors in 1 month. No, 4 in 1 month, because I had a 3rd gen that promoted too. So what happened was I started having newbies go, oh my gosh, I want to do that too. So it becomes very contagious. So now we've actually had probably never even thought about it, but because they saw 4 promotions in a month, they were like, whoa, if all those people it's starting to become just normal for our team. And so that's why I was willing to kind of throw the money out there, because, it got the result that we wanted. And they had to work for it. It's no different than a booking incentive or a hosting incentive. It's no different than that. So yeah.
Did you at any point go fishing for leaders?
No. Well, no, I take that back. We did. Yeah, we did. We had director bound. We started it right after conference. I want to say we had one in September. And what we did was I had all of my directors then. We were just a senior team, so I think we had 4. Yeah, we only had 4. Everybody looked at their personal team, and we looked for people that were just consistent, not people that expressed any interest in leadership, but they were consistent. Even if they weren't selling a lot, they were consistent sellers. Because if they can book and sell consistently, we can teach them to recruit consistently, and we can teach them to lead. And so what I did was, and I can send these to you, Christina, if you want, but it it was very simple. I took a picture from conference of all the directors, and it was just a picture I had on my phone. Yeah. But it was when all the new directors promoted, and I had a screen, so I had a picture of it. And I did something on, I think it was PicMonkey, and it just said something like, I can't remember the exact wording, but it said something like, we want you to be part of our leadership team, something. It was something very, just, we've noticed you. We want to invite you to be part of our leadership team. And I just, our team name is Team Awesome. So it was like just Team Awesome Leadership Team, or so that's how I signed it. And I got it printed at Vistaprint with postcards, and I put in some like glittery stars and tinsel and stuff and wrapped it up in red for directors. And I mailed it to all of those people that my directors pointed out that were consistent. So I sent out like 30 of them. But I got so many people that were like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I haven't considered it, or I hadn't really thought about it. And so a few of them I had to kind of talk off the ledge, because they were like, I can't be a director. How can I be a director? And I'm like, well, first of all, you don't start out with a team of like 30 people. You start out with 1 or 2 or 3. And I just, a lot of times I think they're just scared. They're scared of the training. They're scared of the responsibility. They're scared of not maintaining. So yeah, so I guess that was kind of a fishing expedition. We threw a whole bunch out there, because I sent out like 33, I think, is 30-ish. I want to say it was like 33, 34 to our whole organization. And then, yeah, and it was fun, and it was fairly easy and not all that expensive. So yeah, that was probably the fishing expedition. Yes, that's when we went looking for leaders.
Yeah, because I feel like sometimes, those of us who are like me, where we're at this point where we have some directors, but we may not be seeing anybody else first gen, especially that's emerging as leaders or that are recruiting consistently. And so I love what you said about looking for the consistent sellers and bookers, because we can teach them to offer the opportunity and teach them how to recruit.
Yes, exactly. Awesome. And that was a Julie Ritter thing. That's one thing I got out of her workshop. Yeah. Is just looking for the consistent people. So yeah. And some of those haven't promoted yet. I'm trying to think of my consistent ones on my personal team. But some of them, they just needed that nudge to even think about it.
Yeah.
So it seemed to work.
Well, I feel like they need to know that they're looked at, they're recognized, and they're wanted.
Yes, exactly. And that's one thing that we realized, and it was something Julie said in that workshop, was, we invite people to host, we invite people to join our team, but we don't invite people to directorship. And I was like a light bulb went off, and like we both turned around, looked at each other, and we were like, oh my gosh, we don't do that. Why don't we do that? That's just silly. Why don't we do that? And so that was our way of inviting people to leadership.
Yeah. This is huge for me. I'm loving this.
It was a big aha moment for me, really.
That's pretty powerful right there. I just wrote it in big letters that, we need to invite to leadership. We need to sell directorship.
Yeah. And so one thing I've thought about that I haven't done before is, I thought about, because, my directors are all over the place. I've only got a few that are local to me. So I thought about doing like some little video. We're starting Director Bounce soon. So I thought about doing some little like montage, have them all just grab their phone and do a video of their favorite perk of directorship, and then just, splice it all together and post that. So I'm trying to think through if I can get that done, but it would be something fun to try and sell the perks of directorship. And when we have someone promote, I try to really sell the perks. It's not just about the income. It could be, my favorite perk, honestly, is those silly sample boxes that we get. I mean, holy smokes.
Yes. I'm loving it.
So just stuff like that. So just try to sell directorship. And then, one thing, just thinking about the incentives, be willing to be flexible. That's why we shifted to virtual parties. My business was not where I wanted it to be. I started in August of 2015, the end of August. And then May of 2016, I was like struggling, like to maintain. I'd fast tracked, but I was struggling director. We had 11 people in my team and like 3 were active that month when I look back at the stats. So not pretty at all. But I knew when we were headed into the fall or into the summer, we have a lot going on with our family. We have 4 kids. We do stuff. And so I started virtual parties, and I just literally just was throwing mud at the wall to see what stuck. So just be willing to spot the changes that need to be made. We've changed posting software. We've changed the format. We used to use groups. Now we use events. So we've done lots of things and tweaked and changed things as we go along. So just be willing to adapt quickly to whatever the current market is or whatever's going on. I'm researching right now. I'm researching Pinterest and Instagram and how to use those for promoting your business. So, be willing to learn those and then dispense that information to your team. One, I will tell you, 3 days, our qualification months for exec were November, December. And so we're halfway through November and I'm like, we're totally not going to make it this month. It's not going to happen. The directors just weren't there. I had one director that had already gone green and she was promoting, but I still needed 2 more first gens. We had our 2 second gens. And I'm like, it's just not going to happen. And one of my girls she actually lost title on August 1st. And so she's like, I want it back before the end of the year. And I'm like, okay, let's do it, So she messaged me and she said, I have a new recruit that she already has orders. And I said, wait, what? And she had already signed 3 people. A team member of hers had just signed somebody by accident. Literally I woke up and I'm like, hey, did you know you got a new team member? What just happened? And she's like, I didn't expect her to sign up. And so she said, yeah, she's got orders. I said, can she get them in by the end of the month? And she's like, I don't know why. And I said, because that would give you 5. And she was like, oh my gosh, I don't know. Let me find out. And so she's like, yes, she can get them in by the end of the month. And then we talked to the other newbie and said, can you collect $150 by the end of the month? Because she already had the 5,000. She just needed the new 5 active. And so she got that done. And then I was looking at it and I'm like, my fast tracker just needed 1 more. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we got to find 1 more because we could have it. And so it was literally 48 hours. It all came together. It was so stressful. And so I messaged her and I said, do you have anybody that's on the fence? Do you have anybody? And she's like, I feel like I've exhausted everybody. And I threw out one name to her that was a past host of mine that was connected to her. And I said, I've talked to her 3 or 4. I was like, okay. And so she messaged her and she said, if you can collect $150 by the end of the month, Mary will reimburse you for your gift. And she was like, okay. And she signed. So just be willing outside the box,
Insanity.
Think outside the box and just be willing to it was a little bit crazy, but I don't normally honest unless they have to perform in some way, shape, or form. So they had to collect the orders, they had to do those things, but then I was willing to spend, I wanted to know. Did I lose you? Oh, there we go.
Okay, you cut out really, really, really bad. I couldn't hear a word you were saying.
See you now. Okay, so which part did I stop on?
The last thing I heard you say was that the girl collected the 150 in orders.
Yes, and so I reimbursed her for her kit. So did you hear that one? I had the last director that needed 1 person. Okay, yeah. And so she collected the orders. And I mean, I don't see that as anything different than a booking or a hosting or, I don't see that any different. I'm just reinvesting in my business and it got the result that we wanted. Yeah. So I hear you have little people in the background.
She fell or something. Yeah. Bless her heart.
Yeah. So that's really what, that's in a nutshell. I know it's not like a secret formula or anything, but that's what I feel like we did.
Yeah. These are things that are easy to do and take care of. And I love the incentivizing thing. That right there, I think I'm going to really try as far as like I've got a few people that are senior consultants that would love to promote, but I think that they're just kind of stuck right there. So I'm definitely going to offer this up to them. I think this is huge.
Yeah, and like I said, don't be afraid to invest it. Don't be afraid to throw it out there. The worst case scenario is you're out $50. But
Yeah.
the cool thing is once someone's recruited 5, it's contagious. You know what I mean? Like they'll keep recruiting.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
I just need one more first gen to promote the seniors.
It's so close.
I know. I have 2 first gen and 2 second gen. They're just kind of. I'm like, oh, I just need one more.
I do feel like the first gen's hard. I mean, it's no joke.
That's where
because it's all really on you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much
I get
for taking time out to chat with me. I appreciate it so much, and I know y'all are family time, but I just appreciate you getting together with me.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope it helps.
Yes, absolutely. I think it will, and I know Kim is going to be all over this. She texted me right in the middle, and she said, "I'm at the vet with Zoe. I'm sorry." Yeah, bless her heart. So yeah, I've recorded this, so I'm gonna send you the recording. And again, I just appreciate you so much, and congrats on the promotion. That's fantastic.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you, honey. I appreciate you.
You're welcome. I'll see you later.